Good morning. Welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and across the continent. It's Thursday. Yes, today's Thursday, 29th day of July 2021. Just 2 days before the month of July finally, wraps up. And it's a beautiful morning here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. And of course, it's the conversation on TOS television network. And my name is Adesuwa Osui.
And my name is Merciful Ajinamo. Good morning and welcome to the conversation where we bring you informative, educative and entertaining stories across Africa. How are you doing, Adesuwa?
Very well. I like how you said that. All of that. I'm very well, thank you.
It's just 2 days to the end of the month.
Yes.
It's as though this month was running. But some people are of the opinion it was a long month. I'm like, I don't see that.
I've heard somebody said that. And
I didn't know how
really?
to even balance it because we have people on this device saying, look, this is really fast. And some people are saying, can July end already? I'm like, are we in the same world?
I think it just depends.
That's the question I keep asking. Like, how do we measure how fast the month is? I think it's basically what we do.
Yeah,
we come here every day. We talk about stuff, different news happenings across Africa and everything. But people
before you just know, the month just runs by really fast.
Happy new month of August.
We haven't even entered.
I feel like we're going to say it already. Like it's just minutes away because I'm going to see you again and say Happy New Month again. Like back and forth. And that's just that's what the perks of the job is. Like we just have to enjoy it, don't we?
It's just really amazing. All right, with that, we'll bring you the quotes of the day. You know, I like to bring you some morning motivation, some Thursday morning motivation today. And we'll be doing that with the quotes of the day. And afterwards, we're looking at stories and happenings from across Africa.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
What is this?
The Cadbury goodness is in every pack of Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, making you feel cheerful and pleasant. Enjoy the Cadbury goodness.
All right, we'll be starting, from Tunisia. More, development from all the factors happening in Tunisia. So the president of Tunisia, Kais Saied, dismissed more government officials, including the army chief prosecutors, days after suspending the country's parliament, dismissing Prime Minister Cheh and assuming executive powers in what opponents labeled a coup. He has also lifted the parliamentary immunity of lawmakers and assumed judicial powers.
I really do hope and pray that Tunisia as a country, we will have peace because it has been very controversial, dismissing the prime minister and now, dismissing more government officials. People, especially the opponents of the administration, is saying this is a coup d'etat. Like they are saying it's not done.
How do you have one person being president, also, being a member of executive council, being legislature?
That's what I don't know.
And also having judicial powers. Only you.
That's what I don't know.
It's that one person is the government.
It all depends on what their constitution holds. It all depends on what they can do. Yes. So if it's possible, all I know is let it just be peace. Because at the end of the day, if people do not agree, that's what causes crisis.
Because people are taking to the streets. So initially, Tunisians went on the street and saying, we don't like how
you just dismissed, especially the prime minister.
So basically, they went on the street, violent protest actually. So he says, look, I'm dismissing parliament because you don't know how to do your job. So he dismissed all of them. That was his reason for dismissing, the member of parliament. But now having to dismiss the prime minister, assume judicial duties, and all of that, I can see why opposition are saying, look, I think this is a coup. Yeah, I can see where that's coming from.
Okay, going to, this is in Nigeria where the Yoruba nation, that Sunday Igboho, has moved to a new detention facility in Benin Republic. Court de Appeal de Cotonou has ordered that Yoruba nation agitator Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, be moved to another prison. This order comes after Igboho's lawyers complained that his fundamental human rights were being abused. I could recall last week when we were talking about his case, his lawyers, his counsel said, look, he's not being treated fairly.
Yes.
He's not being treated fairly. And I think if the environment is not really, giving him that fundamental right that he deserves, I think it's only very natural that he be moved to a different
Yes,
place.
but another thing I'm trying to look at is why are they actually moving him to another facility? Because I know the court had said that he can grant him access to medical care, but it was also yesterday that they slammed him with fresh charges. Like the
Yes,
Benin Republic actually are holding him,
are holding him.
for fresh charges that's different from what Nigeria is charging him with. So I'm wondering why they're moving him to another facility. Is it because of the charges they now have against him, or they're just trying to make him feel better health-wise? I'm just
I think it's basically his fundamental human right. Yeah. So if he's not comfortable where he is, if his lawyers are saying, look, I think he should be moved, and they've agreed, then they should move him. We just pray all of these cases settled as soon as possible and let justice have its place
This
at the end
doesn't
of the
look
day.
like it to be settled as soon as possible, though. That's just
Soon
my
as possible.
opinion. All right, moving over to Tanzania. Some COVID-19 news from Tanzania. Tanzania is set to launch the COVID-19 vaccination drive on the 28th of July in Dar es Salaam, the commercial capital of the city. So yeah, they launched it yesterday. The president of the country, Samia Suluhu, is expected to lead the nation against the pandemic by receiving her first COVID-19 jab. So yes, I was wondering why she's just receiving her first COVID-19 jab. Then I remembered that Tanzania was one of the countries that was in denial the longest time.
Yes,
like
that
there's
there's
no
no
COVID
COVID
in
and
Tanzania.
everything.
Nobody should. So it's like a huge improvement. They
Yes,
went from
it is.
not admitting that there's COVID in the country to actually importing vaccine, like purchasing vaccines, and now getting people vaccinated. Because I did know that numbers in Tanzania were spiking really hard.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
and
Remember when the whole story came when COVID-19 started crippling in, and they were like,
Yes.
look, there are natural ways you can do it.
Yes.
And Tanzania has been living in it. And we're like, okay. Other African countries were actually looking at Tanzania, yeah?
Yeah.
They were saying, what do they have that we do not have? Because they hardly reported any case
yes,
of
because I think they were in denial
COVID-19
for the longest time.
as a den. But now seeing the president coming out to take a first jab is an eye-opener. Everybody says, oh, if our leader has done this, why not? Let's follow it.
Exactly.
And I think it's a good
I'm
thing.
just happy that
It's a good thing.
they're actually admitting, and because it's very risky to just
Very
having to
risky.
manage all of it by yourself. Look, we
And
don't
this is
need
more
no
than a
vaccine.
year.
Exactly. But now that it's opening up, I hope we have more Tanzanians get vaccinated, and then we don't have to have so many casualties from Tanzania. Talking about getting vaccinated and casualties. COVID-19 updates from Africa, comes next. But as I always say, I did speak about vaccination earlier. So get vaccinated if your country or your state is rolling out vaccine. And if not, just do your part, so that you and the next person can be safe. We cannot afford multiple casualties, of COVID-19. So please do your best and do your part to ensure that we do not get there. So COVID-19 update from across Africa. And afterwards, we'll be looking at front pages of Nigerian dailies.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africa.
It is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And don't forget, you can always be a part of our social media community. Follow us across all our social media platforms at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And the handle is at TOS TV Network. And of course, you can also watch live stream our programs on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube page, please do so so you do not miss out on our amazing content across Africa. It's still the conversation, and we go straight into the newspaper headline segment of the show. There's so much news stories this morning across all of the Nigerian national dailies. We begin with Blueprint. From the very top, we see EcoBank remains payment gateway in Africa, and that's coming from Akim Mutan. That's from page 23 of the Blueprint newspaper. We see a very small headline underneath the Blueprint tag there that's talking about cholera. Bauchi governors flag off oral vaccination, and that can be found on page 13. The banner headline there, the obvious story, is 5 years after court ends El Zakzaki wife Zinat's trial, and that can be found on page 6. Three riders. The first says KDSG has no powers to prosecute offense retrospectively. And the second, federal government should respect ruling, free our leader immediately. That's coming from the IMN. And alleges cleric wife victims of impunity, prosecution declines comment. And all of that can be found on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. We have a couple of other stories just on the front page of the Blueprint there. Grab a copy of the Blueprint and read about them.
Let's look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, starting from the very top. Akeredolu in narrow escape as Supreme Court judgment, a warning to APC. That's coming from Festus Kiyamo. 18 million Nigerians infected with hepatitis. That's coming from the federal government. Accountant General illegally withdrew 665.8 billion naira from special fund, and that's the Senate saying that. The banner headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning is job loss, inflation loom as BDC operators lament new CBN Forex policy. Naira in sharp fall, scarcity hits market. Banks ill prepared to fill gaps. Findings. Ex-CBN chief faults policies, say banks can't be trusted. Underneath the picture of the day, El Zazaki's long walk to freedom. Quite a number of other headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Grab yourself a copy.
We move over to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. The very top is nationwide blackout. That's two riders. The first, as national grid collapses again. The second, underinvestment, major impediment in Nigeria's power transmission. And that's experts saying that that can be found on page 21 of the News Direct newspaper. Just besides the picture of the day there, NLRC sets to launch Nigerian national game. That's coming from Femi Gbajabiamila. On the APC Congress, Lagos will adopt consensus candidate. That's from the GAC, and EKEDC urges National Assembly to intervene in 21 billion naira MDA debt. That can be found on page 16 of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper.
All right, the Daily Times newspaper, the very first headline there says, Court frees El Zazaki's wife after 6 years in detention. 4 decades after, refinery is still a challenge. 24 hours after CBN ban, Naira slumps to 522 Naira to $1 in black market. Experts express mixed reactions as BDCs worry over directive. We will comply with CBN directive operators, and that story is continued on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper.
The very last national daily for this morning is the Business Day. Just on the front page there, haulage cost halves as electronic call-up eases port congestion, and that can be found on the Business Day newspaper. Just besides that, we see foreign investment in Nigeria slumps to 4-year low in the first half, and that's the first half of 2021. All of that can be found on page 30 of the Business Day. All of these stories can be found on all of these national dailies that we've read out to you this morning. Just grab yourself a copy or an e-copy, right, so you can read about them and just know what's happening across the country. All right, that's much you can take on the newspaper headline segment of the show. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll bring you the big story. Just stay tuned.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. the smartphone network.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. As his mother, it is my duty to help him live up to his dream. That's why I give him Born Vita every day, which contains iron, zinc, and vitamin C that supports his immunity and gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength.
Yeah, just still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. And as I always say, yeah, you can be a part of the conversation. You know, follow us across all our social media platforms that is displayed on your screen. That is at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. It's the big story, the crux of the conversation. And this morning, our focus is on economy, implication of CBN ban on Forex sales to BDC operators. And joining us via the phone this morning is Cephas, cheh, a business analyst. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's just dive straight into it. What is your take on CBN's decision to henceforth sell dollars and other foreign currencies directly to commercial banks which have been mandated to sell to Nigerians?
Okay, first of all, there are a lot of mixed reactions to the new policy. But for us as business owners and operators in the country who regularly need foreign exchange, especially dollar, we are scared that it's going to cause scarcity of the dollars, seeing that the banks may not necessarily be able to disburse easily and quickly as we will need this because of the bureaucracy involved in getting the dollar, and if they have the capacity to actually meet the demands of 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 dollar for the country. So we are concerned that there's going to be scarcity, which will make business quite hard, almost impossible if you like, which will also mean that there will still be black market illegally, which will make the prices to soar really high. We are thinking we might have to start buying dollar at almost 700 to 800 naira very soon because of the level of scarcity that will be created. Same scenario happened in 2016 when there was a ban on it. And throughout that, before the end of the year, there was almost a 46% increase in the exchange rate. So where we stand as business analysts, we are bothered, and but though we understand where the CBN is coming from, what the basic idea of what they are doing is, but we think there would have been better options in dealing with their challenges than an outright ban on CDCs.
Yeah. So CBN was of the opinion that the parallel market has become a conduit for illicit forex flows and graft. Talking about fraud. Now, what do you make of this reason?
Sorry, say again.
Yeah, so the CBN of the opinion that the parallel market, as the BDC, Bureau de Change operators, there have been illegal flow of money, you know, just illegal things happening. What do you make of that reason?
You see, the CBN is responsible for safeguarding, or if you like, monitoring how these currencies or monies are being circulated around the economy. So instead of banning them, they should have put in policies in place that made that they checkmate what these guys are doing, all the irregularities and all the illegalities. Now, if CBN claims that they have a policy that says that these guys shouldn't sell more than $5,000 a day, and they also give them $20,000 a week, then somebody needs to explain to us how they get to sell more than what is allocated to them in a week. If CBN claims they give them only 20,000 in a week, how do they get to sell more than 20,000 in a week? It then means they are getting dollar from some source, right? That is not the official channel of the CBN. Now, what CBN needs to do is to checkmate those sources. Also checkmate how this, make them responsible. I mean, have a channel that these people are accountable for how much they spend, and not an outright ban. The outright ban affects the people and the economy um, more than what they are trying to checkmate in that sense. If there are better ways, what I'm saying in essence is there are better ways for them to have gone about the challenges that they are facing other than a ban.
Okay.
Because the ban is going to have more adverse effects, and I don't necessarily see it actually checkmating um, their concerns. As a matter of fact, I see it as a window for more illegalities and more crime, because at this rate, people will do anything to get it at unofficial rates and all of that. So
Okay. Earlier, you spoke about, you mentioned the people, the implication on the people and the economy. I do know that findings have revealed that banks, commercial banks, are not prepared, for this kind of development at this point. They would not be able to handle the rush that comes with it. So,
yeah.
and then we've also seen that in just a day, the dollar has spiked, really high. The naira has crashed against the dollar really fast.
Yeah.
So, what are some of other economic implications, as a result of this development? What implication would it have on the economy and then maybe ordinary Nigerians as well?
Well, we won't know fully to the extent that it's going to affect the total economies, because we have to look at it from the standpoint of the various stakeholders in the economy and how it's going to affect them. But from the standpoint of the common man who needs business, who needs dollar just to do business and every day, you see, if you check the daily operations of banks, you find that just to do their daily operations, given the COVID-19 protocols that have to be followed, it has become increasingly difficult to do transactions in banks. The waiting time, the frustration, and all of that. Now, what is going to happen is that there's going to be more load. And you see, the common man is going to suffer because he doesn't have access to, if you like, the bigger guys that can get him dollar immediately. So the disbursement of dollar is going to be very difficult, right? So the common man will suffer, and that's what the level of the common man and the business guy. For the level of guys that have to pay school fees in dollars, like students, educators, you find out that that's another whole level of frustration. Now, parents will have to pay more for their children because they'll go to any length to find this dollar. And like you said, the prices will increase abruptly. And it means they are paying more for their children as school fees than what they had actually planned. Then we have investors, we have foreign bodies who all deal with this dollar. And generally, I hardly see the advantage it has on various stakeholders, except for the government itself, who claim they are using it to tackle the irregularities and illegalities in the system. So I think the only advantage that it is having is if it truly tackles that problem well, it's good for us, but it's not so good for the economy. That's why I wish they took a different approach.
Okay. Earlier, you mentioned that all of this is going to cause, scarcity of dollar in the market. Do you think the scarcity of dollar is going to maybe help strengthen the naira against the dollar?
Well, the scarcity of dollar might not necessarily strengthen the naira because of the amount of illegalities I see that will come out of it. When I mean illegalities, I mean that a certain people will be able to have access to this dollar and will hoard it until they can force the prices to go far up, and then people have to exchange for really high. And when that happens, the dollar does not become strengthened. If the government claims that these CBDs have illegalities, then it means they didn't have a way to checkmate these illegalities. So what is now our guarantee that they can checkmate this new method that they have provided, and also avoid another level of illegalities and irregularities? If there's not that in place, then it would not. Now, put in mind that some things are very good on paper, but are not, doesn't make sense in reality. Now, on paper, it would strengthen the naira, but in reality, will it truly? Because if the CBN cannot checkmate these bureau de change guys, how are we sure they will checkmate this one if they start to have irregularities? So that's our fear, right? That the policy is good on paper, but we are not sure it is workable, it is feasible. Because if it were, we wouldn't have had to go through this route.
Yeah, talking about checkmating and irregularities and policies. Just this year, talking about the cryptocurrency space, we've had new policies, and Nigerians are of the opinion that CBN is not really going the right direction that we need for the economy. Do you think it's just different policy changes that will help the economy, or do you think all of these policies will actually mar it?
Well, I won't fully say that the policies the CBN are proposing or are implementing are all bad, really, because they are the apex bank in the country, and their attention is to the economy and all of that to make it work, right? So, but I believe our country is very diverse. There are different methods of doing things, and then one policy can have really good effects on the people and not have on some people and not have good effect on other people. Now, when it comes to their policies on cryptocurrencies and the rest of them, there's a part that we do understand why they implement those policies, because they have to be accountable for the influx of money in the country and out of the country and within the country and all of that. But if only thing we will say to the CBN is, let them not just check how it affects a few people up there. They should also be able to check how it affects the general public and those that seemingly don't have a voice up there, because all the policies that they are putting in place makes that some of the guys that are up there are benefiting more than the guys that are down here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Cheh, for staying with us on the conversation this morning. It's been an insightful one, I must say.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, viewers, for staying tuned to the conversation showing on your digital First Pan-African News Network. Don't forget, follow us across all our social media platforms, across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, subscribe on YouTube. And the show can be streamed live on our website, www.TOSTVNetwork.com, and other shows as well. I am Merciful Ajinamo.
I'm Adesu. I'll see you. Don't forget to stay safe always. We'll be back to you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on the show today.